Hello children, in last video we studied about phrases and clauses and also about kinds of phrases, and we were left with prepositional phrase and kinds of clause. So in this video we'll deal with prepositional phrase and kinds of clause. What is prepositional phrase? To understand prepositional phrase, it is important for us to understand preposition first. And we already know that a preposition is a word that shows a relationship of a noun or a pronoun or connects a noun or a pronoun with other part of a sentence. Like some common prepositions are in, on, at, for, from, by, of, with, to, etc. Now let us understand what is a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase is a phrase that starts with a preposition and is followed by the object of the prepositions. Children, prepositional phrases do not work as a preposition in sentence. Yes, though it is a prepositional phrase, it does not work as a preposition. It works either as an adjective in a sentence or as an adverb. Now look at some examples. The book under the table was gifted to me. So under the table is the prepositional phrase starting with the preposition under, and table is the object of the preposition. So this complete phrase under the table is describing the noun book. Hence, it is doing the work of an adjective. And so we can say that under the table is a prepositional phrase acting as an adjective. See the next example. They will play after the class. So, after is the preposition in the subject and class is the object of the preposition. So, after the class is an prepositional phrase, and this entire phrase is working as an adverb here, as after the class is modifying the verb play. Now let us understand kinds of clauses. So as I told you earlier that a clause is a group of words that has a subject verb combination, and it may or may not stand alone to give a complete sense. And it is divided into main clause and subordinate clause. Main clause expresses a complete thought and can stand alone as a sentence. And subordinate clause can act as a part of speech but depend on the rest of the sentence or the main clause to express a complete thought. So as subordinate clause can act as a part of speech in a sentence, it can be categorized as noun clause, adjective clause and adverb clause. So let us begin with noun clause. A noun clause is a clause that acts as a noun in a sentence. And we already know that we identify noun by asking question what or who. Noun clause always starts with the conjunction what, when, where, which, who, whom, that, why, how, whatever, whenever, whichever, whoever, etc. Now look at some examples. I know that you are busy. Here in the sentence, I know is the main clause as it conveys a complete idea, and that you are busy is the subordinate clause. So if I ask question, what do I know? I get the answer that you are busy. And so that you are busy is the noun clause. Another example may be I want to eat what you are eating. So here also I want to eat is the main clause and what you are eating is subordinate clause. I want to eat what you are eating. So what you are eating is a noun clause. Children, a noun clause may act as a noun, as I told you in the example, it can act as the subject of the sentence. It can act as the object of the sentence, as the complement of a verb, and as a complement of an adjective. Now, let us look at some examples of noun clause working as a subject. How you teach English is amazing. What is amazing? How you teach English. So, how you teach English here is a noun clause. Now, children, if you remember while learning subject and predicate, I told you that to identify the subject, we ask the question what by placing it before the verb. Right? So, let us identify the subject in this sentence. So again, if we ask question, placing what before the verb is. That is, what is amazing? How you teach English. So, how you teach English is a noun clause that functions as subject in this sentence. Again, look at another sentence. That it would rain seems unlikely. What seems unlikely? That it would rain. So, that it would rain is a noun clause, and here you can see seems is the verb. So, let us identify subject placing what before the verb. So, what seems unlikely? That it would rain. Therefore, that it would rain is a noun clause acting as a subject in this sentence. Now, let us look at an example of a noun clause working as an object. I know that he is a wise man. So, I know what? That he is a wise man. Therefore, he is a wise man here is a noun clause. Now, this noun clause acts as an object of the verb. Object of the verb, I know. So, we know that the object of the verb is a receiver of the action. I know what? That he is a wise man. Hence, that he is a wise man is the noun clause acting as the object of a verb. Now, let us see some examples of noun clause acting as the complement of a verb. So, complement means adding something more, right? So, a noun clause acting as the complement of a verb would give more information about a noun. Usually, it follows a state of being verb like is, are, am, will be, was, were, etc. Let us see example. The winner will be whoever gets the highest votes. Who will be the winner? Whoever gets the highest votes. So, here whoever gets the highest vote is a noun clause. And also, it is giving more information about the noun winner and is followed by state of being verb be. So, we can say that whoever gets the highest votes is acting as a complement of the verb. My belief is that we will win. What is my belief? That we will win. Here also, that we will win is the noun clause. And also, it is giving more information about the noun belief and is followed by state of being verb is. And so, we can say that we will win is the noun clause acting as a complement of a verb. A noun clause acting as an adjective complement would give more information about the adjective in the sentence. That is, it complements the meaning of the adjective. Let us look at some examples. I am delighted that all my students have passed their exams. So here, I am delighted is a main clause, and that all my students have passed their exam is a subordinate clause. Delighted is the adjective, and that all my students have passed their exam is giving more information about the adjective delighted. Clear? Now, again, we were shocked when she came back to our team. We were shocked is the main clause here, and shocked is an adjective. When she came back to our team is a subordinate clause which is giving more information about the adjective shocked. When we were shocked, when she came back to our team. And so when she came back to our team is the noun clause acting as complement of an adjective. Clear? Now let us understand about adjective clause. An adjective clause is a clause that acts as an adjective in a sentence. That is, it also modifies noun or pronoun. It is placed nearest to the word it qualifies. And an adjective clause starts with the conjunction who, whom, that, which, when, where, whose, and why. Look at the example. The teacher who taught me English retired few days ago. So here, who taught me English is the subordinate clause starting with subordinate conjunction who. You can see that who taught me English is describing more about the teacher. It is telling more about it is modifying the noun teacher. And so we can say that who taught me English is an adjective clause. Now, adjective clause is used to modify the subject in the sentence. It modifies the noun in the predicate. It modifies the direct object in the principal clause. It also modifies the indirect object in the principal clause and also object by preposition in the principal clause. Now, for examples, you can look in your book. Let us see how an adjective clause modifies the subject. The gift that my sister gave was the best. Here in this sentence, the gift is the subject and that my sister gave is the subordinate clause as it is starting with subordinate conjunction that. So you can see that my sister gave is modifying the subject gift. Which gift? That my sister gave, right? It is telling about the gift. It is telling more about the noun gift. And so we can say that the adjective clause that my sister gave is modifying the subject gift. Now let us see how adjective modifies the noun in the predicate. He is the boy who got the prize. Here, he is the boy is the main clause and he is the subject and boy is the noun that lies in the predicate. So, who got the prize is the subordinate clause which is modifying the boy. It is modifying the noun boy which lies in the predicate. So, who got the prize? The boy. Therefore, who got the prize is modifying the noun boy, and so we can say that who got the prize is an adjective clause modifying the noun boy in the predicate. Now, adjective clause modifies direct object in the main clause. How? The child brought the book that his teacher gave. Here, the child brought the book is the main clause and that his teacher gave is the subordinate clause as it is starting with subordinate conjunction that. In the main clause, the child brought the book. Here, the subject is the child and the object is the book. And that his teacher gave is talking about the object book. Which book he brought? The book that his teacher gave. So here the adjective clause is modifying the object book. Now let us see how adjective clause modifies indirect object given in the main clause. So, we sent our teacher who was sick a get well card. Here, we is the subject, a get well card is the direct object, and the teacher is the indirect object. So, who was sick is in subordinate clause starting with conjunction who. It is modifying the noun teacher, which is the indirect object of the sentence. To which teacher we sent a get well card? To the teacher who was sick. Okay, so here we can say that who was sick is an adjective clause modifying the indirect object given in the main clause. We walked down the road where the house was locked. So we walked down the road is the main clause, and where the house was locked is an adjective clause starting with subordinate conjunction where. Here, down is the preposition and the road is the object of the preposition down. So, where the house was locked is talking about the object by a preposition down the road. Where the house was locked, the house was locked down the road. So we can say that where the house was locked is an adjective clause modifying the object or by a preposition down the road in the sentence. Now let us understand about adverb clause. So adverb clause is a clause that does the work of an adverb in a sentence. Like an adverb, it modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb in the main clause. Adverb clause starts with the conjunctions like because, unless, as, for, since, whenever, wherever, where, as soon as if, as though, every time, anytime, although, though, if, until, etc. So adverb clause always answer the question when, where, why, how, etc. Now there are 7 kinds of adverb clauses. That is adverb clause of time, adverb clause of place, adverb clause of reason, adverb clause of manner, adverb clause of purpose, adverb clause of result, adverb clause of contrast and concession. Adverb clause of time is the clause which is introduced by its subordinate conjunction when, whenever, while, after, before, since, as long as, till, until, etc. So let us look at example of adverb clause of time. Ria will get married after she gets a job. Here Ria will get married is the main clause, and after she gets a job is a subordinate clause starting with subordinate conjunction after. Here, after she gets a job is modifying the verb married. And we know that adverb clause modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. So, after she gets a job is an adverb clause, and it is telling about the time when she will get married after she gets a job. So after she gets a job is a adverb clause of time. Next, let us know about adverb clause of place. Adverb clause of place is introduced by the subordinate conjunctions where, wherever, whence, whether, and it also answers the question where. Let us look at some examples. I will meet you where we met last week. I will meet you is the main clause. Where we met last week is the subordinate clause starting with subordinate conjunction where. It is modifying the verb meet, and so it is an adverb clause, and also it tells us about the place. It answers the question where. Where will I meet you? Where we met last week. So where we met last week is the adverb clause of place. Now, let us talk about adverb clause of reason. Adverb clause of reason is introduced by subordinate conjunctions because, as, that, since, etc. And it answers the question why. Let us look at example. I teach English because I love it. Here, I teach English is the main clause, and because I love it is the subordinate clause, as it starts with subordinate conjunction because. Here, because I love it is modifying the verb teach, and it also answers the question why. It gives the reason why I teach English. I teach English because I love it. Okay? So here, because I love it is the adverb clause of reason. Now let us look at the example of adverb clause of manner. Adverb clause of manner answers the question how, and it starts with the subordinating conjunctions like as, so, as if, through. She speaks as if she is the master. So she speaks is the independent clause. As if she is the master is the subordinate clause, starting with subordinate conjunction as if. So here, as if she speaks how? As if she is the master. It answers the question how. Tell us in which manner she speaks. So here, as if she is the master is the adverb clause of manner. Now let us understand adverb clause of purpose. Adverb clause of purpose also answers the question why, and it starts with subordinate conjunctions like so that, in order that, etc. He gave me his number so that I could call him later. He gave me his number is the main clause. So that I could call him later is the subordinate clause, as it starts with the subordinate conjunction so that. Why he gave me his number? So that I could call him later. And so we can say that so that I could call him later is the adverb clause of purpose. Now, adverb clause of result. Adverb clause of result tells us the result of the main clause. For example, he was so weak that he could not move. Here, the main clause is he was so weak, and the result for being weak is that he could not move, right? So, that he could not move is the adverb clause of result in this sentence. It starts with the subordinate conjunction so that, and because. Now, let us understand about adverb clause of contrast or concession. So, adverb clause of contrast shows the contrast between the main clause and the subordinate clause. Like, although he is poor, he is honest. Here, he is honest is the main. You can see that in the main clause, it is told that he is honest. On the other hand, in the subordinate clause, it is told that he is poor. That means here a contrast is made between the main clause and the subordinate clause. So we can say that although he is poor is an adverb clause of contrast. Also, adverb clause of contrast starts with subordinate conjunctions although, even if, however, whether, etc. So students, hope you are clear with the chapter phrases and clauses. Do the exercise given at the back of the chapter. Thank you.